a lot of research on sort of modern day gangsters, if you like, because obviously the group that make up Fabian, Skinner, Dodger within the play, and Nancy, and obviously Abdo coming into that group. So there are quite a lot of documentaries around about groups that deal drugs using young children to deal them on social media, which was very interesting and quite valuable, I think, in terms of research and in terms of characters as well. I also did a lot of research on the refugee crisis. I myself, 2 years ago, was in Turkey at the time when it was all going on, and sort of trying to go back to that time that I was there and remembering the families that I saw who were sleeping out on the beaches there, and sort of the emotions that brought up, how they were behaving at the time, how they were sort of trying to function as a family with nothing to go on, and remembering how people were trying to sort of, be around to them, be with them, sort of local, I remember local restaurants sort of giving them the leftovers at the end of the night, just so that they've got something to eat. So I had to try and trace back to that time and remember sort of their situation, and it, which wasn't easy to do. And just, lots of internet searching.
Just like newspaper articles that are all online now.
Yeah.
So it's much easier for us to do this now because everything's online. So you can look up any kind of article from the past, however many years. Because it's all there. So that was really handy.
And just, looking at research on things that the government have been doing, stuff that you have heard about in the news, and there's obviously mention of the Dubs Amendment, and those are things to research and know what we're talking about and why it's being said.
I think there's quite a lot of documentaries and stuff on the lives that these people lived for such an extended period of time. So I think it was quite interesting to see the scale of their journey based on sort of documentaries and stuff like that. So that sort of really helped me.
There was a book that Natalie gave us to have a little look at, and it was, I can't remember what it's called, it was something to do with smugglers. And it was a book that really gave like a good kind of record of how that business is done, where they go, the locations, who's in charge of that smuggling, and then that then leads into trafficking. And so that book was obviously quite good to read, especially just about to start a play that's about trafficking.
Yeah, I really liked it. I remember reading it first and being like, this could really be something, because I've done Oliver. This is my fourth portrayal of Oliver, and he's not called Oliver. I did Oliver in school, I did the musical of Oliver, then Oliver at Oxford, and now Abdo Oliver. So it was like I knew the play pretty well. So it was nice coming to this, which was really fresh and really is a reimagining, and sort of I loved the time lapse of it, and the fact that he's in the entire. I think that's my favourite bit of my play. It comes with interrogation. He's explaining his journey. I think it was very poetical as well, and it's that it was quite a real poetical language and quite big and epic in a way. Even though we're doing it in quite a small space, so I was sort of how are we going to do some of the stuff that was in it? But I really liked it.
I think Chino's done a wonderful job of still keeping that Dickensian feel within the writing. I think that really stands out in reading it.
Yeah, I think just the you still keep the kind of feel and the story of what everyone knows is Oliver Twist, and but like John said, because it's such a huge reimagining that we put into a contemporary kind of timeline, I suppose. It's nice to see those kind of parts of the original story that still kind of make up this world we've got.
Mm-hmm. She's really captured quite a journey in such a short space of time, which is incredible thing to sort of achieve. us being sort of way out, sort of away from the central focal point of what was happening, upon doing the research into it and really understanding how many different factors have contributed, different factors that have got ultimately nothing to do with where it happened initially, playing such an integral part of what happened, and people that are just totally not responsible for what's happened being the victims of what happened. It was quite shocking to see the scale of that. You know, for us to tell that story as well, I think it's a story that needs to be told. It's still so relevant because when it happened, the response was kind of like, well, we don't know what to do with this, and there was a lot of pushing the problem around to other people and that kind of thing. So I think it's something that we as a world, I guess, need to sort of learn from and move forward with.
I think like quite an interesting question, because this morning, there's an article about like, are we bored of Syria? I can't remember the title. Like basically, moving on, you know, the world is bored of Syria now, old news sort of thing. So I think it's now more like, it's so important that we're doing the story, because it's still going on, and people still don't know the facts really behind fully what happened or why it's still going on and stuff like that. But because it's not main news anymore, because it's been going on for a few years, and it's now sort of like, not hush hush, but not quite.
I think it's really easy for people just to kind of now forget about that this is going on and that's happened, because it happened. It's happening, but because people have read so extensively on the subject, it's now easy to kind of put in the back of your mind. And I suppose that was the pull of the project, to be honest. That we're taking it around schools and kind of telling people about what's going on, but by putting it into a kind of dramatic setting.
And it's young people as well, like,
Yeah.
that's the important thing, is that we're not just telling this story to, you know, Joe Blogs, it's to young people, it's a very specific audience, and I think that's what's most important about telling it, is that, you know, this is a new generation that's coming up, and, you know, just at the end of my generation, do you know what I mean? And it's I think it's a really exciting generation to be coming up, and you know, they're going to be the shapers of the world. And so something like this, and especially taking it to regional places that, you know, a lot of these young people won't have been affected directly by it. You know, I know where I was from, I didn't have any exposure to stuff like this. So because you can be kept sheltered away from it, but I think it's important to start a dialogue. And that's what theatre's for, and I suppose starting it with young people is a really important place to start, I think, and so it's a real honour to be able to do that, I think, yeah.
So I play, I think, like 4 characters in the show, so I was straight away it's about finding the kind of distinction between those characters, and the way they talk, the way they move, that's to do with vocal quality, you know, physically. You know, we did loads of movement with Tash, and that was, you know, to kind of really embed those traits that you want to kind of bring out. So, you know, for Fabian, who's kind of like the Fabian type character, you know, we really wanted to put a focus on him not being able to really place him, and making him quite kind of ethereal, if you like. And that comes a lot with accent work and not knowing quite where to place him. Is he from London, or has he got something else with him? Where has he been? So a lot of that kind of came into the mix for Fabian's character. But then with the officer, a bit not generic, but you know, you have the kind of tough police officer, and decided to go with my Scottish accent because tough police officer. And I suppose it's just the way you hold yourself when you play characters, and you know, you really want to show the audience that you are someone different in the space now. The shoes you're wearing are different, you know, and I suppose that's part of the challenge, but it's fun. It's definitely fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think voice and physicality are sort of just very important in terms of, as a starting point, that's the foundation, and you just sort of build upon that. And obviously we do have the references from the original novel which do help with certain characters such as Dodger, You know, he is this charming chap who is just very kind of friendly and quite jolly character and very confident. And obviously, me being a female playing Dodger, I've kind of tried to give it my original twist to it. Excuse the pun, but still keep that sort of quirky, charismatic feel as well. So I think it was quite important to go back and reference the original novel for certain characters. And then obviously there's sort of the newer characters, such as Abdo's mother, Lina, who is just this, you know, very maternal Syrian woman who loves her family dearly, which was just a pleasure to play. It's just really sweet.
I think we're really lucky in terms of creating characters, having literally they're all from different parts of the world, and we had a lot of talks about how to portray that, you know, because here in the UK especially, we all act in a certain way. A lot of the time everything's quite reserved. That's just how British people do it. But whereas then you've got people from Syria and Turkey, and that's a different way of communicating.
Yeah, kind of what's been said with voice and physicality, they are good sort of standoff points, and like I said, I've already done the characters sort of 4 times, but this was quite nice doing Abdo because it's so massive, like within the hour, like he goes on such a huge journey. I think trying to find the, you know, yes, the Syrian, the accent, the voice, the physicality, but the mentality is, I think, was the most like not exhausting, also fun thing to try and find, in terms of like, you know, he goes from where to then here, spoiler. So yeah, I think that was like the hardest things to find.
Again, similarly to Jordan, I've played Bill Sykes before, so understanding those types of characters, I think the thing about those kind of characters is that they're all already there in their sort of in their physicality and their presence. So there's not that much to actually to do once that's been captured, because everything that they are is kind of said for them in a lot of cases. But then also you've got characters like Mr. Bossman, who is the Mr. Bumble-esque kind of character, which is again a big weighty character, but it's a totally different energy and culture. So again, trying to capture and juxtapose those against one another is an interesting challenge.
I'll try. So we've been working with palettes, kind of a minimalistic stage in that sense. With, you know, we want to create the 2 different worlds in that sense. So we've got, you know, the Syrian world where he's come from, and the journey then through into Turkey from the refugee camps, and then into our modern London. That's 2019, so it's in the future. But yeah, like we say, we've got interrogation scenes. We've got kind of 2 timelines running parallel. So we have the use of kind of the box area where Abdo is being interrogated by the 2 officers, and apart from that, they'll be going from kind of doing palette work and kind of flat work with these at the back of us, you can see, and we kind of use them to kind of show the world that we're in.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting challenges as well, because it's such a variety of location, we've got less of a scope to focus on things such as lighting, because it's dependent obviously on where we're going to be going and stuff. So we really needed to make something that worked, and again in terms of staging for 3 sides, and then in some cases end on, and is that adaptable, and then something where a story could be told potentially, if necessary, without lighting. You know, so it had to be sort of quite a robust design in that sense.
Also as well, just to follow on from that, just thinking about audience and you know, where the audience are sitting, we're really making use of the whole stage in that sense. We're really pushing the stage and sidelines and viewpoints. So we're dotted around a lot. So it's a lot of stylized movement that we're using to kind of get in between scenes and transitions and
acting as well.
Yeah.
Like in terms of, because you can't really,
Try.
you know, there is some stylized acting in there as
Yeah.
well. There's not all, you know, it's not all your really like naturalistic, because it can't be, because it's such a big story. So that was something to think about as well. It's like seeing different places and like seeing what the response is in different places as well, because I think especially the difference between a London audience and, you know, an audience from some other random part of the country is very different. Like, it's completely different than what it is. So that'll be really interesting, and then it's in the difference between like reactions in schools and theatres, and yeah, that'll be fun.
I think as well, just going to new places, there's places that I've just never ever been to, just, you know, coming from like Edinburgh to London, I feel like I've missed out a huge part of the UK, so it'd be nice to kind of go around different places I've never been before.
I'm really excited about just being able to do a piece like this, which is about something so vitally important and current, and taking it into schools for students, like just on a social level, to provoke some sort of a reaction, be that to provoke conversation between one another, to discuss things more. I think that's what excites me the most, really, is just to see how it affects them.
And also the job being a tour as well, which is like, you know, for some of us, I've never done a tour before, so it'd be fun to see what touring's like, you know.